What's going on, guys? Savage Your Reptiles here. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. You guys have been super supportive, and I couldn't be more appreciative. Today, I'm going to be talking about where you can get blood pythons and where you should get your blood pythons. So, the places that you can get them are, of course, Morph Market, Facebook Marketplace, unfortunately, Craigslist. You can join some Facebook groups. I know we have one that's called Blood Pythons Reload, and that's, I guess, for people that's looking to relocate their blood pythons. I joined it just because I like seeing other people's blood pythons, but I'll probably, I don't plan on ever rehoming my snakes. Another place that you could look, I heard that Canada has a version of Craigslist called Kijiji. I haven't looked into that to see if they sell live animals, but if it's just like Craigslist, then I assume you can. I have had some guys reach out to me on Messenger asking me, could they rehome their blood pythons to me? And while I do love this species, this is my favorite species of all snakes, that's just not something that I'm willing to take on, because when you get your snakes from secondary, I guess, parties like that, you never really know what you're getting into. These could be people that genuinely just want good homes for their snakes, or these could be people pawning off snakes that are severely sick or severely injured, and they're just not communicating that with you because they know once they get that across to you, you will not be interested in rehoming their snake. So again, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, Craigslist, Kijiji, and it recently came to my attention that you can now purchase blood pythons from PetSmart and Petco. So something's telling me that if you can purchase these snakes from there now, they should be easily accessible in the smaller reptile shops. Now, I'm not against purchasing blood pythons from smaller reptile shops, because sometimes you may run into some workers that really know what they're doing and taking great care of these guys, or you're gonna go to a pet store that just has them, really doesn't know what they're doing, and they're just looking to make a quick buck. And if you have the money to buy it, you can. But again, I saw a Facebook post that somebody bought a female blood from a pet shop, and 6 days later she died. So that's just one of the things that you got to look out for when purchasing from reptile shops. I went today, and actually I got some food for Charizard, my bearded dragon. I got him some super worms and some hornworms here. Now, he won't eat these just yet. I want to grow these guys out a little bit more before feeding them to him. And then I want to go ahead and actually start breeding my own, just because these guys are pretty expensive. I got a 12 count and it was like 20 bucks. So yeah, I definitely want to breed these. But I went into the pet store today to get some of those for Charizard, and they still have the Borneo short-tail. Next time I'm in there, I'm going to take a picture of him, or at least a short video of him, just to include him in the video. But they still have the Borneo short-tail there, and they have him labeled as a Borneo blood python, of course. But he's been there going on 5 months now. I mean, he's still pretty small. He's way smaller than this guy. He might be the size that Harry is now exactly, but he's been there for some time. And I heard them like almost about to make the sale on him one day. I went in to purchase some fish food, and some guy walked in with his wife, and they were looking at him, and it was like, oh, well, he looks pretty healthy. We want to make this purchase. And I kind of just sat there listening to all the information that the worker was giving them as far as care at home, and the enclosure setup, and the size enclosure that they would need as adults, and just all the information was wrong. So as the worker walked away, because the worker walked away to go get out a box to package this snake up, because they were about to buy this snake. As soon as he walked away, I stepped in, and at this point I have been keeping Brock for maybe a month and a half now, but I have been doing a bunch of research on these guys before getting them. Again, research is key. Before you get these guys, do plenty research before you get them. This is not a snake that you want to get and wing it as you go. You don't want to do that with any reptile at all, but these are definitely not the species to do that with. But yeah, I have been doing tons of research on them, and I've had this guy for about a month and a half at that point. So I stepped in, and I kind of just broke everything down to them and pretty much reversed everything that the worker told them, and I gave them the correct information. And they were just like, well, you know, as an adult, he told us that they would only get 2 to 3 feet. These guys getting 2 to 3 feet as adults is ridiculous. And so I asked him, I was like, well, you know, what size enclosure did he tell you that you would need for an adult? Now, I just said that just to make it seem like I wasn't spying, but I heard him. And he said for adults, they would need a 36 inch, which is 36 inches long. And I think that's like 3 feet long, by 2 by 2. Which is ridiculous because these guys can get up to 4 to 6 feet, about the same length as ball pythons, just super thick. So I told them that it's best, especially if you're gonna get like a female in the long run, or even a male that can get really big. For like, if you're gonna keep them in an enclosure and not a tub, I'd say a 4 by 2 by 2 minimum, and anything bigger from that, 5 by 2 by 2, 6 by 2 by 2. But the thing is with these guys, they don't climb. So you really don't need that 2 feet, the 24 inches of height. You can go down to 18 inches. I wouldn't go 12 inches. I feel like that's too low. But you can go you can give them 18 inches of height just because they're terrestrial snakes. This is a terrestrial species. They will not climb. You can give them, I'm not gonna say that. Do not give these guys the option to climb because they are a heavy-bodied snake. You don't want them to have the potential risk of hurting themselves. So like even Brock here, he's nowhere near like what he's gonna be, and he already has like he's not the best at holding on to me. So I have to support his entire body at all times when handling him. So just imagine what it could be like handling your adult that really can't hold on to you. You really have to support that heavy-bodied snake. These guys are not light at all. Brock already has some weight to him, and sometimes I'm like, dude, you're growing pretty fast. If you guys go back to the first video that I did with him, it's kind of a big jump, and I'm noticing the growth daily. Especially not even the physical growth, but how he is with handling, his personality, the bond that me and him are growing together. It's amazing. But back to, you know, the story with the customers in the shop. Basically, the owner gave them all the wrong information. I was able to successfully deter them away from that purchase, and I actually got their contact information, and I have spoken with them quite a few times since we left the shop, and they are doing good. They actually made a purchase of a golden eye from Morph Market. I'm not sure what breeder. I didn't ask them. I was just ecstatic that they did go through Morph Market to get their first blood. Now, if you are the person that just wants to help a reptile or a blood python, since we're speaking about blood pythons, if you're a person that just wants to help a blood python and you really don't care where they come from, you know what you're doing, you've even kept them in the past, or you're keeping plenty of them now, you have tons of knowledge, by all means, purchase from a reptile shop. They can tell you, hey, this blood is sick, and you're like, okay, whatever, I know what to do. Go ahead, you're that person, do what you gotta do. And again, back to PetSmart, I just don't see why PetSmart would even jump into that. Somebody told me that they're now selling Brazilian rainbow boas. I don't know what they're doing. Don't buy your blood from PetSmart. Again, unless you're that person that you're just like, whatever, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for so long. I'm going to help this snake out. Because again, like, it's PetSmart, it's Petco. Of course, if you buy that blood from them, you're helping that snake out. You're doing a good deed for that snake. It's just, I feel that it's setting you up for failure, especially if you are a new keeper. If you are a new keeper, by all means, stay away from pet stores. Reach out to a reputable breeder and go from there. Again, this is where you can get all the information you need. You can find out the exact birthday of your animal. This is for all you people that like to celebrate birthdays for the reptiles. I'm one of those guys. Brock here, actually a little story about him. I don't know his actual birthday. I honestly don't even know how old he is. Brock was a surrender, and he was actually my first blood python. So I'm kind of knocking myself in the head on this one, because I say for your first blood, go through a reputable breeder, whether that be somebody on Morph Market. And even if that breeder is like on all platforms, he's got a Morph Market store, but you saw him on Instagram, or you saw him on Facebook, or you found his Snapchat or whatever. You can reach out to them whatever way you want, just as long as they are a reputable breeder. But again, I'm beating myself in the head on this one. Brock was not from a reputable breeder. When I picked him up, he was in a very small tub, and he was in substrate. It was mud. And he had a very large water bowl on top of him. It was sitting directly on top of him. He had no room to turn around. And the guy that I got him from, this is not any blame towards him, because he only had him for less than 24 hours. So Brock's previous owner gave him to the guy that I picked him up from, and I got him from him the very next day. So he had him less than 24 hours. Very good guy. He's excellent with reptiles. Lizards are his thing, but he is amazing with snakes as well. But he only had him for less than 24 hours. No shame to him. Very good guy. But the previous owner, I just feel like they could have done a very better job of caring for this guy. I'm glad that Brock landed with me. He's now in again, I'm beating myself in the head with this one, but it's just because I had it laying around. I had a spare 4x2x2 enclosure laying around. And he's pretty big, so he's actually a lot bigger than my other two. But he actually uses every inch of that space, so that's why I don't mind him being in a 4x2x2 enclosure. He doesn't use the height, of course. He doesn't have anything in his enclosure to where he can climb. He's got a plain black hide on the left side and the same hide on the right. His water dish is big enough for him to soak, and it's directly in the center. His substrate is Reptichip and sphagnum moss. But I definitely wish that I did go the route of getting my first blood from a reputable breeder, but I'm also glad that I was able to step in and help him out. He was also a bit skinnier. He has put his weight back on. But again, like I said, if you're that person that just wants to help the reptile out, a rescue per se, go ahead, do your thing. Nothing's wrong with that. But for first-time keepers, I feel you should reach out to a reputable breeder, whether that's Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. If they've got a Morph Market store, or they're known in the community for doing very well with blood pythons, reach out to them, do your thing, gain as much knowledge as you can. At the end of the day, take care of your reptiles.